will ever know. So just in terms of raw knowledge, they're better at writing. I mean, I made a Claude style today that writes to a degree that I'm just not capable of. At least not. It takes many, many iterations, but it can do it in one shot. So semantic intelligence and those sorts of things. Humans with practice, we're still better at intuition and large scale pattern matching. Those kinds of things, maintaining coherence. Claude will sometimes become incoherent. But really what we're seeing is, particularly with O3, is we're solving reasoning and we're solving problem solving. And so taking a big step back, what this means is, all right, so this is just kind of my personal understanding of intelligence, is the universe is only so complex, right? Once you master math and physics and chemistry and coding, what else is there, right? Once you understand the basic building blocks of reality, there's not any more else to learn. Yes, these things can be recombined in infinite combinations. There's emergent characteristics, which means that there's technically infinite complexity to deal with. But at the same time, reality is very consistent.
See you tomorrow, Jenna. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Another performance meeting. Surprise. I'm not working hard enough. I'm missing deadlines. I'm disorganized. But that's not true. Okay, well, maybe. But I'm constantly busy. Just maybe on the wrong things.
Does this scenario sound familiar?
If you're drowning in work but still not achieving results, listen up. I finally found a solution that saved my career, and it might save yours too. Motion. Motion is like having an AI assistant that prioritizes your work. You input all your tasks, deadlines, and priorities, and it creates the perfect schedule. It makes sure you're...
And so I guess the simplest way of saying it is AI is getting very close to circumscribing reality. AI is getting very close to mastering reality. And it's not just, it still has some gaps in what it can do. Sure, who cares? Right. But, I even saw Beth Bezos, Gil Verdun, saying, embodied AI is going to solve everything else. No, it's not. Embodiment data makes no difference on solving, advanced physics or nuclear fusion or antimatter reactors or those sorts of things. Ducks can move through the world. Your cat has better embodied data than you do. Orangutans and chimps have better embodiment data than you do. Human embodiment is in no way the way to solve intelligence. But yeah, so it's basically solving reality, and solving and having a complete grasp of logic and reasoning and those sorts of things, which this is the kind of problem that you only need to solve once. Now, that being said, there could be an arms race where there's, the ability to handle increasingly complex, problems or narratives or whatever, but who cares? At the end of the day, if you have, plants growing in the dirt, if you have energy to use and minerals to use, and you can recycle everything, basically reality itself becomes the ground truth. And that is the shared sandbox that we're all in. And AI is on the cusp of mastering the rules of the game that we're all playing better than all humans combined. Now, let's just say, for instance, that O3 in aggregate is in like the 75th, or I guess the top 25th percentile of all humans in terms of all intellectual capabilities. It might be in the top 20th percentile or top decile or whatever, but in aggregate, there are still a billion humans that collectively can do way more than the AI can do. Okay, great. But then what happens when you scale it up, and what happens when this trend continues? So yeah, that's kind of my take on where we're at.
So ARC is intended as a kind of IQ test for machine intelligence. And what makes it different from most LLM benchmarks out there is that it's designed to be resistant to memorization. So if you look at the way LLMs work, they're basically this big interpolative memory. And the way you scale up their capabilities is by trying to cram as much knowledge and patterns as possible into them. And by contrast, ARC does not require a lot of knowledge at all. It's designed to only require what's known as core knowledge, which is basic knowledge about things like elementary physics, objectness, counting, that sort of thing. the sort of knowledge that any 4-year-old or 5-year-old possesses, right? But what's interesting is that each puzzle in ARC is novel, is something that you've probably not encountered before, even if you've memorized the entire internet.
Good morning. We have an exciting one for you today. We started this 12-day event 12 days ago with the launch of O1, our first reasoning model. It's been amazing to see what people are doing with that and very gratifying to hear how much people like it. We view this as sort of the beginning of the next phase of AI, where you can use these models to do increasingly complex tasks that require a lot of reasoning. And so for the last day of this event, we thought it would be fun to go from one frontier model to our next frontier model. Today, we're going to talk about that next frontier model, which you would think logically maybe should be called O2, but out of respect to our friends at Telefonica and in the grand tradition of OpenAI being really, truly bad at names, it's going to be called O3. Actually, we're not going to we're going to announce two models today, O3 and O3 Mini. O3 is a very, very smart model. O3 Mini is an incredibly smart model, but really good at performance and cost. So to get the bad news out of the way first, we're not going to publicly launch these today. The good news is we're going to make them available for public safety testing starting today. You can apply, and we'll talk about that later. We've taken safety testing seriously as our models get more and more capable. And at this new level of capability, we want to try adding a new part of our safety testing procedure, which is to allow public access for researchers that want to help us test. We'll talk more at the end about when these models, when we expect to make these models generally available. But we're so excited to show you what they can do, to talk about their performance. Got a little surprise. We'll show you some demos. And without further ado, I'll hand it over to Mark to talk about it.
Cool. Thank you so much, Sam. So my name is Mark. I lead research at OpenAI. And I want to talk a little bit about O3's capabilities. Now, O3 is a really strong model.
I just MailChimp my marketing with AI to create a hyper-personalized campaign in minutes.
That's on MailChimp believable.
It is on MailChimp believable.
What got me was that of all the times it could have happened, it happened on a Super Bowl Sunday.